Hey, it's Patti Scharf, CPA and co-founder of Catching Clouds, a leader in e-commerce accounting. Welcome back to our Saturday Slowdown, where we kind of slow things down and I try to remind you guys to work on your business and not just in your business. So today I'm going to talk about working with your spouse. Scott and I have been working together for 7 years, almost 7 years. Feels like longer some days. It's really interesting to me how many e-commerce sellers and how many accountants in general work with their spouses. It's a really staggeringly high number that I have no metrics on whatsoever, but it seems like I meet people all the time who are working with their husband or wife. So if this is something you're thinking about doing, I've got some advice for you. I don't know about advice. I'm just going to share my personal experience. So when I tell somebody that I'm working with my spouse, we generally get one of two reactions. The first one is, oh, hell no, I would never do that. And the other one is, oh, that sounds amazing. How does that work? You know, and people get really interested. So I think there are a few things that can tip you off if you might be a good fit. Like when Scott and I were planning our wedding back in the mid-90s, we found that we worked really well together. Like we had the same kind of idea of how we wanted it to end up, and the things that he really cared about I really didn't, and vice versa. And so we found it was a really fun project. If you try to do a big project like that and you are not getting along, I would recommend you not actually work with your spouse. I think from the get-go with us it was always really pretty smooth. I mean, there were days that I wanted to throw a stapler at his head, but you know, we're paperless, so we don't really need staplers. So that was kind of nice that I never actually ended up doing that. But I think as the years have gone on, it's gotten easier and easier. And here are the things that I think are most important. Above all, I think that you need to have a shared common dream of what it is you want your business to be. I think that, like, if Scott wanted to just take over the world and have this monster business, it's not really something I would be on board with. So it was something that we had to iron out at the beginning. And I think as we would go through the years and months and weeks, we're constantly talking about what we want our business to be like, where we are now, how we should pivot to still make that dream come true, because things aren't going to go according to plan, but as long as you have a common vision, it's going to come together a lot more easily, and it's going to be easier to make decisions along the way because you know what the end goal is. And I think that when you're working with your spouse, this is actually kind of an easier thing to accomplish than if you're just working with a friend or somebody you don't even know, because presumably you already have a shared vision of where you want your life to go, hopefully together, and this can just be one other element in that. Another really important thing is to remember to be a good partner. I mean, a marriage in business is just like a marriage in your life, where you can't always put your own needs first. There's going to be a lot of compromises along the way, and you need to know that you're working towards a better good, and you have to be a little bit selfless in the pursuit of that and do what you need to do, what the business requires of you, and not so much always exactly what you want to do when you want to do it. Another thing that you need is a strong sense of trust, which hopefully your marriage has this as well. And I think it's another good reason why working with your spouse is actually a great thing, because when we went into this, we already had like 17 years under our belt of knowing how to work with each other on a personal level. And so I think when it came time to actually start the business, we already had kind of a shorthand on communication, and we were totally honest and upfront, and we could totally trust each other. So we knew that each person's best interests were at heart. You know what I mean? So I think that level of trust makes it easier to be in business with your spouse, as long as you have a good, healthy relationship. The other thing you need is a clear sense of responsibilities. Now, Scott and I both just kind of coincidentally heard about this book, Rocket Fuel. Somebody was recommending it to him, somebody was recommending it to me, and he was like, hey, I just got this book. I'm like, I just got that from the library. So we've been reading it together. And what it talks about, and I'm not going to give you a summary of the book, but the gist is that a really successful business, a business that just takes off and goes through the roof, or to the moon, is the case maybe with Rocket Fuel, is to have one person who is a visionary and another person who is an integrator. The visionary is somebody who they can see things that other people don't see. They can they have insight and innovation, and they're always thinking years ahead. And the integrator is somebody who can take those dreams and actually turn them into reality. The visionary is more of the why person, and the integrator is the how. And I didn't really realize until we read this book that this is exactly like Scott is textbook visionary and I am textbook integrator. So it really is amazing how we've been able to work together. All along we've been talking about how our skills perfectly complement each other. He likes to speak, I like to write, he likes to tell everybody what to do. He likes to innovate and dream and solve problems, which I like as well, but I'm more of the how can I make it faster, better, easier. So I think that if you are going into business with your spouse, you need to take a look at where your skills are. What are the things you enjoy doing? Where do you feel most comfortable? Where can you add the most value? If you're both visionaries, if you're both dreamers, it's going to be really hard to build a business that has staying power. Or if you're both integrators, you might not be creative enough to build something that's really going to take off and be amazing. So I recommend you check out that book, Rocket Fuel, and read it before you get started with your spouse, and see if maybe your skills might align, your interests, your just natural inclinations align, and hopefully you are lucky and the spouse that you've got perfectly complements you like mine does me. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, comment, and share. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll catch you later.